So here we have this Porter cable Dovetail Super Jig. Now this thing comes with just about everything you need to make perfect dovetails. But this doesn't only make regular through dovetail joints, because the 3 jigs can also make half-blind dovetails, sliding dovetails, and box joints. It comes with this instruction manual that's pretty good at explaining how everything works, but stick around because I'll give a quick demonstration later in this video. It also, of course, comes with 2 half-inch shank bits for larger dovetails and 2 quarter-inch shank bits for the smaller ones. Then it has these 4 different guide bushings. So the only thing you need to make this jig work is an adjustable base router that accepts both quarter-inch and half-inch shanks. You also need to have one of these plates that will fit the standard 1 3/16 Porter cable guide bushings. Mine didn't have the right plate, so I bought this PowerTech 6.5-inch one that will fit most routers. Anyway, here's the actual jig. It can cut up to 12-inch wide stock in any thickness between quarter-inch and 1 1/8 inch. These 2 clamps are cam clamps that can be adjusted to hold 2 different thicknesses of stock. And I really like these because once you set it to the right height, you can easily slide in your board and quickly lock it down. And it's not going anywhere because the bottom of these have sandpaper that hold them pretty tightly. The templates are easily removable and adjustable with just a couple of knobs. And there's an adjustable depth stop here to get the perfectly fitting joint. Now this jig also has 4 holes so you can mount it to a workbench, but if you don't want to put holes in your bench, then it's easy enough just to clamp it on and that holds it just fine. Alright, so let's see how difficult it is to cut some regular old dovetails. To start off, we're going to cut the tails. You're going to need 2 square pieces of wood and a scrap board that's the same thickness. The scrap board goes on the top, flush with the front, and if you're using 2 different thicknesses of board, then this scrap board is always going to be the thickness of the piece that you're not cutting. Anyway, clamp it down and slide on the template like this. And also, if you're using a narrow board, then it's best to put the other one on the right so the template sits flat. And I already have this set where I like it, but you're going to need to adjust the template with these brass knobs to make the notch line up with the edge of your board. Now center the tailboard on these slots with the outside of the board facing inwards and clamp it down. Then flush up this offset piece and tighten it down as well. So now it's time to set up the router. Check for the right size bushing over here and then screw it on the router. Secure the dovetail bit in the router and set its height using this depth gauge right here. And again, you might have to adjust this to get the right fit for your piece. Turn on the router and start cutting out those tails. When that's done, you can cut the other side of this board, but for simplicity, I'm going to move right onto the pins. So for the pins, we're going to flip the template around and lock it into place. Then flush up the board with the outside on the outside and lock it down. Now you need to switch out the bit for a straight bit and the guide bushings for the one that fits into this slot. Check the depth again and cut out the tails. Now that both pieces are cut, you can check to see if they fit together. If they're too tight, move the template in. If they're too loose, move the template out. If they're too short, adjust this down. And if they're too long, adjust it up. Once you got it adjusted, you can pretty much keep it that way, and it'll work great for making all the dovetails you want. So I really like this jig, and it does cost a big chunk of change, but if you're going to be making a lot of drawers or boxes with dovetails, then in my opinion, it's well worth the price.